Yeah.
We don't need to have the video on, do we?
No, you're totally fine just on audio.
Okay, good. I don't want to put it on.
That's totally fine.
How are you? How are you doing?
Really good.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, busy, a million things happening all at once, but it's all good
You're the
things.
only person I know who's more all over the place than me.
I don't know how it's possible, but it's just like I keep going and going and
I
going.
know, but
Like
it's fun. It's fun, right? That's
it
what
is
we're meant
fun.
for, I guess, you
I
know?
know. I wish I had more energy to do everything I want to do.
Same with me. Same with me. More energy, more time, and more resources.
Exactly,
Our
exactly.
potential's unlimited. Yeah.
It's true.
So I
Um,
didn't even know you were doing this stream work, but that's cool.
yeah, I am. I am. So for this call, we we had one other participant come on,
Mm-hmm.
and she actually just last night said that she forgot her son had a thing, so she's not going to make it.
Okay.
I'm about to put it live on Instagram because there's
Uh-huh.
been people that have been interested and like not wanting to, I guess I'm kind of figuring out the whole like what is this worth in terms of like monetary value online, like what do people pay for an online webinar. So I want to just
Uh-huh.
put it out there so they can get a sense of it, and if they want to join in future months, I'm going to be doing this monthly.
Okay.
And they won't be able to hear you because you're on the headphone set through me,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
but at least they'll be able to hear the content and what I'm sharing about Dreamwork, just so
Okay.
you know what's
Yeah.
happening. Okay.
Okay.
And you're welcome to join. Since this is free for everybody else, I'm giving you a free session for next month too, if you want to come in next month as
Oh,
well.
okay,
Okay.
great. When is
Yeah.
that? When is that again?
March 22nd, I believe. Let me
Okay.
pull that up again. Um, yeah. Let's see. When did I say? Yep, March 22nd
Okay.
is the next one. Yeah, so
Cool.
again, put that in your calendar.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to go on the Instagram. Okay.
Does it go to
All
Facebook?
right.
Does it go to Facebook Live also?
This is not live on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just on Instagram.
Okay. Okay.
If I had like another cell phone somewhere, I'm sure I could figure that out. So,
Okay.
yeah. All right. Okay. Oops. Cool. So, yeah, the dream work. I guess I'll just start by sharing a bit of what my background is with Dreamwork, where I'm coming from with all of this. I started doing Dreamwork more formally about 10 years ago, the early 2010s. And I mean, I'd always been a really vivid dreamer my whole life. I remember, some really prominent dreams that I had in early childhood that they felt, of this spiritual nature beyond just those kind of processing dreams, the kind of dreams where you kind of feel like you're gaining insight into a broader picture of what reality is, and those kinds of dreams where they almost like lift the veil of what's going on in life, and so that that kind of stayed with me from an early age. And then through my late teens, around 17, 18, I started vividly dreaming and lucid dreaming on my own without really even, kind of knowing what was happening or knowing what I was doing at the time.
What does lucid dreaming mean exactly in your definition?
Yeah, lucid dreaming is that experience of knowing that you're dreaming while you're in a dream.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really the ability to kind of shift out of just being in a dream state and kind of going through the motions of the dream, and then having that moment of realizing it's a dream, and then potentially being able um, to guide the dream in whatever direction you want to go in. So for instance, I've had lucid dream experiences where I realize I'm dreaming and then decide, oh, I can do whatever I want. I want to go to a beautiful ocean paradise. And literally in the dream, I start flying across the ocean. The whole dream shifts and changes. And then I'm flying, and then I land on a beach somewhere and resume dreaming. It's kind of interesting how, sometimes in the lucid dream state, in my own experiences, I've been lucid, and then we'll go into another dream scene and then become lucid again. And the dream continues to shift and change. Mm-hmm. For some people, as a spiritual practice, this experience of awakeness or this lucid dreaming is part of an ultimate goal. I don't know. It depends on what your motivations and your intentions are with dream work. But so I started lucid dreaming around 17, 18. And then in this break that I took from college, I went and lived in a spiritual community out in the mountains in Virginia. And this group of people were all meditators. They sat twice, sometimes 3 times a day. And they also utilized dream work as part of their spiritual practice, their kind of foundation of building community and deepening within themselves. It's kind of like a self-development practice for them. And they drew their dreamwork techniques from, they established their community in the 70s. So it was a bit from that wave of, Eastern spiritualism and, that countercultural revolution that was happening through the 60s and 70s, and some indigenous ways of being. So they drew a lot.
What place was it?
This was in Virginia. It's called, the community was called Light Morning. And there's a really kind of, small, off the beaten path. They're off the grid, and didn't really, they didn't really like to put themselves in the public too much. So I'm not even sure if you could find them anywhere online these days, but
it still exists.
I'm pretty sure they still exist as just the founders. When I was there, they were taking internships, and I did an internship with them on sustainability, which they kind of they created as external sustainability, how to live in harmony with nature and with the earth, and internal sustainability, how to build a personal sustainable practice so that you can live in this more harmonious way. And so now I think they're kind of in retirement mode. They're all, up there in age, and they're aging. So I think it's just the core members that are holding down the fort right now.
Okay.
Yeah. And so what they did was regularly practice dream work. They would have a weekly kind of formal dream work circle where every week we would get together and go through dream work processes. But then also, just almost like as a byproduct, every morning we would end up talking about our dreams over breakfast. So we would have, community breakfast together, sitting together in a circle. And, of course, somebody would bring up, so do you have any interesting dreams last night? And and inevitably, like, there's always something really interesting. And the really curious part for me was, living in that community, how when you're really living and working with other people closely, and you're meditating together, and you're, in the garden growing together, and you're eating together, your lives really do interweave. And there's kind of like this subconscious element that we were all sharing kind of the same ground, literally and
Mm-hmm.
figuratively. So we would
Mm-hmm.
end up like in the next morning, end up like dreaming together, like ending up in the same places and having sometimes even the same dreams, which
Wow.
is really fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And would say, I was at this so-and-so location in my dream last night and this and that happened. And then somebody else would say that exact same thing happened in my dream. How wild,
Wow. Yeah.
So that's definitely part of the potential of dream work is the more you kind of talk about your dreams and voice them and share them with the people that you're close with, you can notice those kinds of, that undercurrent that kind of weaves everyone together. And then, there's also the potential for intentionally dreaming together. So after I had, left that community, kind of went on with my life. I ended up doing some workshops and trainings with a teacher called named Robert Moss. He's an Australian-born man, and very much a modern shaman, you could say. So yeah, Robert Moss. He's written numerous books on dream work. I guess
Mm-hmm.
his story was that when he was a young child, he had a number of sicknesses where he was, kind of dipping in and out of coma from being sick as a child, and in this, this state of kind of being in his body and not in his body, would go on these, elaborate dream journeys, and he was meeting with teachers, spiritual teachers, indigenous teachers, and people who would guide him in his journey, all in the dream state. And so he's written extensively about it, and now does a lot of trainings and workshops all over the world about dream work. So his books were really influential to me, and um, and and then also just being able to sit in circle with him, and to do the dream work with him was also really profound. So that kind of gave me some techniques that I could use in my everyday life, in order to kind of unravel what my dreams are telling me, and also to just deepen in what's possible with dream work. So that's kind of a bit about what I want to share here, is just where where I'm at right now with dream work. It's just kind of a part of my everyday life. The biggest thing that I do every day with dreams is just record them. Every morning I either write down my dreams or will record an audio note about it. So that helps me strengthen my memory of what the dream is, because you can't really
Yeah.
do dream work if you don't remember your dreams, or you don't really have that kind of vivid connection with what your dreams are. So I find even just the more that I pay attention to what my sleeping dreams are, the more that I record them in detail, almost like like a full movie or a full anything, the more I'm present for it, the more I can really get out of it. And all of that
It
I
was
find,
so, I thought
yeah.
it was so interesting when because I wasn't remembering my dreams, and I have at other times in my life. And
Mm-hmm,
then you asked us to write it down for this.
mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God, every single night I could remember them. It was just like, had to set the intention and then it was there.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, setting the intention is absolutely key for it. That's everything. Once you
Yeah.
decide to do it, it's going to start coming online more. It's going to start strengthening whatever your intention is. Um, yeah, I find that even just setting my intention to remember more of my dreams, like they instantly start to become more vivid. Um, you know, just remembering one dream a night, now I'm remembering like a whole, it's like epic multi scene. It's like 6
Yeah.
dreams a night,
Yeah.
where it feels
Yeah.
like it's just a movie that just keeps going and going, like I'm almost living like a whole day, or even like years in just one night of
Yeah.
dreaming, which is
Yeah.
profound because there's so much that you can extract from that. There's so much that you can look into. So somebody on Instagram here said life is but a dream. Well, that's
Mm-hmm.
true. That's absolutely
Mm-hmm.
true. But then what do you do with that? I think there's ways to go deeper with that. And then he asked, do I work on lucid dreaming? That's something that I talked about a second ago, I think before you got online. That yes, you can work on lucid dreaming. In order to work on lucid dreaming, you have to work on lucid living. And that's kind of part of the twofold process of it, so that the more that you kind of become present and awake in your waking life, and really realizing that your waking is just as much of a dream as you're sleeping, then as you're dreaming, you do become more awake to your dream world and can recognize those moments when, oh, I'm dreaming. And then you can really kind of steer the dream in whatever direction you'd like. Or, some people say you don't want to try to control your dream once you do become lucid, but allow it to unfold and to remain in a state of awakeness. That's another kind of thing that you could get into. And it really depends on what your goals and motivations are, what your intentions are with the dream state. I think lucid dreaming is really only as valuable as your motivation or your intention is. So, part of the different spiritual traditions, dream work is deeply woven into a certain lineage of Tibetan Buddhism and Native American tradition as well, indigenous traditions, where where dreams are really a sacred occurrence that can kind of act as an access point or portal to other dimensions, to meeting with our guides, to meeting with teachers that we don't have access to in waking life. If our teacher's on another side of a planet, if our teacher's transcended and not in the body anymore, they've either passed away or what have you, you can connect with them and speak with them in the dream state. So that's another kind of avenue that you could go into when you're doing dream work. It kind of just depends on where you want to go with it, what your intention is. I like the idea of lucid dreaming as just being another path of awakening more fully in life. It's kind of another aspect of being an enlightened being. Not saying that I'm definitely not there yet. I'm not fully cooked, but it's a fascinating subject to me to go into. Yeah, I mean, what is it for you that's most interesting about this? I'm
To
wondering
me,
what I can share. Yeah, what I can share
mm,
here that might be helpful.
the ideas about the subconscious and making the subconscious more conscious, I
Yeah.
think.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that there are underpinnings or subconscious underpinnings of what goes on in the life, in your life, in my life, and being able to bring that up so that you can examine it more closely,
Mm-hmm.
and learn from it.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. Bringing the unconscious or the subconscious into consciousness. And then what you can learn from bringing consciousness to the unconscious. I think that's like certainly one of the most common things that I think in our modern world, we're finding in dream work is just you know, understanding ourselves better on deeper levels. So there's a number of different kinds of ways that you could categorize dreams to kind of unravel what the subconscious process is. In the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, they believe that there's karmic dreams, which is basically a way that you're currently processing anything that's happened in the past. And then there's clarity dreams, which are kind of a way of recognizing an aspect or a facet of reality with clear perception. When it comes to the subconscious processes, like I think a lot of the time what's happening in dream work is we're processing in our dreams, we're processing just the stuff that continually flies by. Some people think that it's just a bunch of mind garble, mind garbage or whatever. But really, I think there's something kind of deeper going on there that, once you start to pay more attention to all of the subtle details of your dreams, once you start recording it, noticing the details, you start to find the threads that are kind of woven throughout all of your life. So what the setting is, who the characters are in your dream, what's happening in the dream itself can kind of give you more insights into, what's actually happening in those unconscious levels in your life. So part of dream work is really recognizing that all of the characters in your dream are an aspect of yourself. So ultimately, we're always filtering everything through our own lens of perception. It's only when we get into those, what I would call clarity dreams or even power dreams, when we're starting to perceive beyond the individual lens of perception and into a kind of more transcendent experience of waking life, of reality.
Like, how do you know if a dream is that?
You would know. The question I'm getting here is, how do you know if a dream is a clarity dream or a power dream? You would definitely know. It would be almost unquestionable because of the experience you would have in that moment. So just the feeling that you get from it, it's it's undeniable. The kind of clarity dreams that I've had left me in this state of awe and inspiration, of feeling almost like a moment of spiritual awakening. It's not anything that you can really even fully describe, but it's beyond the norm. It's extraordinary. It's just this extraordinary, profound experience when you have those kinds of clarity dreams and power dreams. It kind of fills you with this, it's like I said, it's hard to describe, but you just know it's apparent when you have
Is
one
it
of
like,
those.
when you say it fills you with, is it like a physical sensation that you're saying?
Yeah, it can be a physical
Uh-huh.
sensation. In some of these dreams that I've experienced, I might wake up like weeping because it's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Oh,
I
okay.
might wake up just like, wow, what just happened?
Mm-hmm.
It's it can be a physical experience. In one dream, in the dream there was a really loud sound that was happening. It was a gong that was ringing, and I won't go into all the details of the rest of the dream, but the sound was very clear and it was a very auditory experience as much as it was fully palpable. So that's one thing that can happen is you're left with either a physical sensation, and even there's an aspect of healing dreams too, where I've had some experiences and I've had people tell me about their healing dream experiences where they feel something in their body has been either cleared or removed, like an illness or a sickness that's been in their physical body has just been cleared for them from a dream. So they wake up feeling this, like something has shifted, something's changed for them. So that's, that's another thing that can happen in the dreams. And when when you're kind of coming to that place, it's not anything that you can, I don't think it's anything that you can really even set an intention on. It's more of or even try to manifest or try to create. I think it's something that really does happen spontaneously. There can be a kind of internal, I want to say kind of an internal wish or an intention for something like that. But I don't know, it's almost like I want to say it's almost like something that happens by grace. Do you know, it's by just kind of being in alignment inside yourself. It's like when I had one of the last real clarity dreams, I was in an active Dreamwork circle. So I was focusing on Dreamwork at the time. And there's nothing that I really even did outside of my usual recording my dreams and really just kind of letting Dreamwork be a part of my life that caused that dream to occur. Yeah, it was like there was something that was illuminated for me. There's a sense of illumination there with it. And specifically for me, this was an experience that I had in childhood, just a moment in my childhood home that was just kind of almost like brightened. Yeah, I can't explain all the details of it, but you'll know if there's a clarity dream that comes through. You'll know it's just clear. Yeah.
I feel like I've had that experience when I've been not totally asleep.
Yeah.
Like that sensation, that feeling of awe, that moment of clarity or whatever, but not when I've been asleep.
Yeah. It helps to really start, one technique that's kind of across the board in a lot of different traditions is just starting by seeing waking life as a dream and just periodically throughout your day asking, is it possible that this very moment is a dream? And almost letting that question just drop in. And I think the more that you can check in with that of just seeing, is this a dream? Even me looking into this computer screen right now, it's almost like a dream within a dream.
Right.
And then things start to shift. The perception starts to shift into being a little bit more lucid in this moment. Just looking into my phone or looking into a screen. So the more I think you can do that moment to moment, that's where the real lucidity comes in waking. And then that automatically, I think, comes into the experience of dreaming. So one of the real clarity dreams I had was even waking up in a dream the moment I took my phone out to put something on Instagram. It's really funny because I do social media a lot, and so that there's this moment of oh, wow, I'm dreaming right now. And and then everything started to open up, and in this, everything started to almost like sparkle and just illuminate. Everything was heightened. Um, really quite beautiful then. Yeah. And even just in the dream too, just uh, being aware of where you are, like sitting in your home, and and feeling like, oh yeah, this too is the dream.
Yeah, no, you seem like a dream.
Yeah, I am. I am. And so then, a fun thing to do is to be like, well, who am I in your dream? If we're doing live dream work, who,
Mm-hmm.
what do I represent? What are the qualities and characteristics that I bring forward in you? Because this is all a reflection of who you are, of your dream. This is all your dream. Um, so, and that's, when you're really wanting to dig deep into the subconscious layers, and do some of the work of it. It's like recognizing that this is the dream, and sometimes even just resting in that space of, okay, this is it. this is this is a dream. Sometimes that's all you have to do. You don't need to really even try to uncover the layers unless you feel, there's something that you feel called to do that.
Right.
Yeah. I think even just that shift in orientation of um, from the mind into that moment of recognition of, okay, even just sitting here on my computer or on my phone, wherever I am, um, that this is the dream as well. It's that's kind of the place to be. Kind of dream work. I like to have moments where, periodically through the day, I just will pause and let my awareness open into, um, what is this moment? Um,
And then what do you find that that deepens the experience of that moment for you?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it deepens the experience of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It There's a one technique where just every time you walk through a doorway,
Mm-hmm.
you take a moment to really feel yourself entering another room. And
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like in a dream, we're kind of constantly moving through different scenes and different experiences, meeting different characters. Um, but doorways, I mean, symbolically carry such profound meaning. But in our waking life too, we're having that moment to pause even before you walk into a door, walk into a doorway, and see, what is this dream? Where am I going? What is this opening into? Um, It's another way in.
We have been working on this mindfulness project at the hospital at Northwestern with the nurses, and one of the mindfulness moments that we've given them or taught them to do is also to pause before they go into the doorway of a patient's room or through the doorway of a patient's room.
Yeah.
And think about what is the intention that they want to bring for the care. Like, just pause and reset themselves from all the experiences that they've been having and accumulating throughout the day, and then enter that one as if new.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of cool. That's like that.
That's perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Taking that moment to pause before you enter any scene, any moment. Right. And especially since you're working with, you're offering care. Is it nurses that you're guiding this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, taking that moment to really set yourself in this place of clarity, and setting a healing intention of what am I going to presence when I walk into this room, and I'm working with someone that might be ill, or might need care. That's a beautiful thing. And recognizing, taking that moment to recognize the dream, and to recognize, what I think when there's that recognition of lucidity in waking life, of recognizing, okay, there's this moment that I can guide in any possible direction, having the healing intention of, what could potentially unfold here for this person's highest good, what can potentially unfold here for their healing and for their benefit. And then allowing that to kind of organically come forward from within you, can be a really beautiful and profound thing. I think that it's a nice thing to not have to know, but to, before you walk into the door, to have that moment of, okay, anything can happen in this moment. How can I bring forward something that is healing, that is of benefit, that is for that is going to support this person. It's going to help them in whatever way they need, and then just to see what unfolds.
Exactly.
Letting yourself be guided from your own internal source. So the Iroquois say that that dream work is it's our soul's vehicle, you could say. The soul's vehicle is the dreams, or messages come to us through messages from the soul come to us through our dreams. And so I like to believe that when we're awake in the dream and awake in waking reality, that we're allowing our deeper soul's work, our deeper soul's intention to guide the moment. And it's almost like just really being the presence of the soul, which I think is in a way what unites us with all beings on this planet and beyond, potentially.
Yeah, it strikes me that you could say the same thing for yourself. Like, when you're, what is the message for me? What is the experience that I'm opening up to in the dream for myself also?
Yeah.
What will be healing to me?
Yeah.
What can I receive from this kind of thing?
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. for anybody who's following along on the live feed, you're welcome to share any questions or comments here too. Yeah. So someone asked how to understand the topic and the rest. How to understand, are you asking about how to understand what dreams are? I'm not quite sure what the question is. How to understand the topic and the rest. I think it's an interesting question even to ask of what is a dream. There's a lot of different kind of scientific explanations and spiritual explanations. Okay, he says, I just see you speaking. Yeah. So I'm on a call, a live call right now, speaking about dream work. So dream work is a way of awakening to the dreams that you have at night, and also, it's okay if you're late, and also awakening to life. So there's this thing I like to say, I've gotten this from a few different teachers. From Robert Moss is one of the teachers that I've studied with, and a Taoist teacher, Scott Park Phillips, who explains the Tao as also, you could relate it to the Dharma, or just this deeper movement of life, as having this quality of reversal, of switching things up. The reversal as being making your dreams a little bit more real and making your waking life a little bit more of a dream. Robert Moss, who is a dream teacher of mine, had said, we need to consider our dreams. I'm not quoting exactly, but Robert Moss said, we need to consider that our dreams might be a little bit closer to reality, and our reality is more of a dream. So once you start to apply that reversal, you start to, from what I've experienced, awaken a little bit more to this more expansive experience of life. So when we see that in our sleeping dreams, the kind of symbology of things, see that there's something going on under the surface of our life there that is closer to reality, is more what you could say spirit or of the soul, and our waking life is actually more of a dream that we might be still asleep to. Just applying that simple reversal might start to almost like level the playing field, where we can see through some of the veils of our perception a little bit more clearly. And this comes back to a question that I had on the call here, is how dreams are a way of accessing our subconscious, how dreams are a way of processing the layers of the unconscious. And that is definitely one aspect of dream work, that, in waking life, a lot of the times the subconscious is really running the show, is really, guiding. The subconscious is actually really guiding how we live our life, until we start to bring consciousness to those underlying motivations and the underlying thoughts, feelings, beliefs. So we have another question here: how to be aware that we don't dream too much, missing the reality of here and now, like Amma says sometimes. How to be aware that we don't dream too much, missing the reality of here and now. Well, I think that comes back to this kind of lucid dreaming. Some people ask about, how do you become lucid in your dreams? It's the same way that you become awake in your reality. It's just continually in the moment asking if this is a dream. You can even ask yourself this question just looking into your phone right now or looking at your computer in any moment. Is this a dream? Am I dreaming right now? Just looking at my technology. Am I dreaming right now, sitting in this room or wherever I am? That's one of the ways that you can tap into this dream work experience. Asking at any moment with sincerity, dropping that question into yourself of, is this a dream? And then just see what happens. That's something that takes practice too. It doesn't happen. Sometimes it can happen just like that. I'm just waking up in the moment. Sometimes it's something that really takes dropping out of the mind, dropping out of the thought processes and into the felt experience within yourself of the potential of this actually just being a dream. And I think that the more that you do that, the more your dreams, when you're asleep in the body, will become more clear and vivid and make sense. So when you're sleeping, there's so much that can come through. There's so much that can process. And one thing I want to mention that I mentioned in a posting that I had recently was how some of the greatest discoveries of humankind, some of the greatest discoveries and inventions have come to realization through the sleep state. Thanks, my friend. Good to see you. Okay, so he says, it's new for me, this dream science. From the moment all the masters tell to stop dreaming and just be present. Yeah, to stop dreaming is just to be awake to the dream. All the masters say that everything is just a dream. In reality, it's all just a dream. And then being present is just noticing that you're dreaming. Is that it? So when they say stop dreaming, I think it really is just being present to the fact that this is the dream. That as long as we're in a human form and a human experience, we're dreaming. But to recognize the dream, to recognize this moment, is to be awake to the dream. Yeah. Yeah. I think really all it comes down to, it really is just moment to moment being present. And the more you're present in waking reality, the more present you can also be when you're asleep in your body at night. No, it's a good question. It's a good question. So, some traditions suggest that to be awake and waking is also allows us to be awake when our body is asleep. Because if we're human, we still need to sleep at night in order to function. Some of us. And so the point of dream practice, of doing dream work, is so that you can make the most of when you do lay your head down on the pillow and close your eyes and you go to sleep, so that you can actually still be awake in your sleep. Um, and, you know, some people, depending on what your dream practice is, will use that time in sleep to practice even more, to meet with the master, to meet with their teachers, to travel, to heal. Um, it depends on what your intention is, and what's happening for you in your life, where you are in the path as well. Does that make sense? Does that feel resonant? Okay. So, so he says, happens to me to dream anytime I hear good music, and I lost feeling of time and space. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that way too. So part of my experience in everyday life is dipping in and out of waking and sleep, waking and sleep. Not, I'm talking about waking life, of feeling lucid in waking life, and then going into a dream. Yeah, yeah. So I think this experience of like getting lost in music, for instance, um, in my experience is usually I'm going into this dream. Um, I like when I hear really good music, it's like I go to sleep into it, losing time and space. It's like I'm actually not lucid in that moment when I really get lost in the music. Um, it's like entering into a dream that the music opens me up to. Um, what might be interesting is noticing if, you know, if you hear really good music, to, you know, in that moment, applying that technique of asking, is this a dream? Am I dreaming right now? And see what happens. So when you're hearing the bhajans, or when you're hearing, you know, good music and transcending time and space, see if you can just ask yourself, is this the dream? And if you could wake up in that moment to the dream, and just see what happens. It's, yeah, just one technique. Um, how's this sitting for you, Miriam?
Yeah, I'm just listening. I'm learning like different aspects of the dreaming. Yeah.
Okay.
Different ways of thinking about it, and it's interesting to hear other people's experiences, because like I don't think about, I don't know, like I guess I haven't related to music like that, for example, but I could, you
Okay.
know, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe, you know, even like moments that you're sort of feeling transcendent when you're practicing, you know, body work, shiatsu, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
connecting with a person on a completely different level. All those kind of things are, to me, I haven't looked at it as a dream,
Mm-hmm.
but it has a lot of very dreamlike quality
Yeah,
to me.
yeah, it certainly does.
Or
You
that
know,
experience of awe that you were talking about too.
right. So I would suggest even just try applying that question of, is this a dream, at any
Mm-hmm.
moment in your life, in anything that you're doing, that you might normally go into, I don't know, an automatic, like
Mm-hmm.
autopilot mode.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Instead of going into autopilot, if you're washing the dishes or cooking your food or doing your practice, just take that moment to really fully become present, to ask that question of, is this a dream? And just notice what might shift and open up for you in that moment of, of whatever activity it is that you're doing, that you might normally not feel that dreamlike quality. You might
Mm-hmm.
normally not have that experience. See if you have that moment where you can ask, you know, is this the dream?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And then to see how you can, you know, how you function, because you can. I think the real interesting thing for me is seeing how you can ask that question, is this a dream? See what opens up for you, and then stay in that dream. So even if you're writing an email to somebody, um, you know, how can I still write an email as if I'm writing an email in a dream? That's an
Mm-hmm.
interesting thing, right? Or how am I
Mm-hmm.
doing my body work practice as if this were a dream? Um, it's fascinating. It's an interesting thing to kind of play with. I think as a way um, to deepen our practice and to deepen within ourselves. Um, so let's see what time it is.
I feel like
Uh-huh.
complete with everything if you want to go.
Oh, okay.
Fine.
I actually can't see what. Do you know what? Can you
It's
tell me what?
it's like 11.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Great. Well, next month I'm going to be doing another Dreamwork webinar at the same time, March 22nd. So you're welcome to tune in there. And we can do what Robert Moss calls the lightning dreamwork technique. And all it is just asking a few questions to unravel a dream that you've already had. So that today it seems like we really dove into some of these waking up with the dream.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that you can do with dream work is to apply certain questions of inquiry in order to peel away those subconscious and unconscious layers of what's really going on underneath the surface of the dream, so that you can gain a deeper understanding of what's happening in the unconscious, and then also potentially um, clearing karma from the past, potentially having foresight and precognition into what might potentially happen in the future. Um, and, I say this all without, holding on to any of it. Um, no attachments to future outcomes, no attachments to what happened in the past, but just kind of, it's like a gift that you get to unwrap, just unfolding the layers of. So we'll do the lightning dream work next month, where we can actually, if you take a dream, any dream that you've had and start to apply the questions to it. It's a really simple process, and it can be self-guided, once you really kind of know how to do it. It's also really powerful to do with other people. I find that just having another person there in relation to you to bounce the questions off of will help you kind of gain more insight into whatever your situation is and what's happening for you. So we had somebody here ask if I spent hundreds of hours or days of my life dreaming about someone I wanted to see, but I couldn't. Did I waste my time? Hope it's an appropriate question. I don't have an answer to that, but I think it's definitely worth looking into because, there's definitely something that can be it's a valuable learning opportunity for you if you spent so much time dreaming about a person that you wanted to see but you couldn't. So there's something there to uncover and reveal about yourself. It's a good learning moment. So I'm going to close this. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so glad to share this with you. It's it's a real gift.
That's great. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Thank you.
And let me know if you have any other questions. Feel free to message me. I'm here. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Have a great day.
Thank you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.